Hey, what's going on, guys? Good afternoon. Um, yeah, so I was kind of thinking, I was literally in the middle of meal prepping, right? I go to the gym, I take care of myself. Everyone should take care of themselves no matter what, right? I'm studying exercise science, so that's one thing I'm gonna say right now. I won't say a lot of absolutes where like, everyone should do this, everyone should do that. I won't say a lot of that. Once again, like a lot of what this channel really is and a lot of what I'm going to be doing in these videos is just talking about my life, talking about what I believe, talking about my perspectives on the world and all that beautiful stuff. But one thing I will say, absolutely do take care of yourself. Go to the gym. If you're not able to go to the gym, go for a walk, go for a run. Just do something, get active, get moving. It's like it doesn't matter. You could have chronic health conditions. That is the best thing you can do for your body, for your mind, for your soul, anything. So go to the gym, go work out, go for a walk, whatever you can do, just get moving. Um, but a lot of what I wanted to talk about today, I was just thinking about it. That's just if I'm being honest, that's how I spend a lot of my free time. I'll just listen to some music, and just think. Just I don't know. I feel like I'm really introspective. I feel like I spend a lot of my time just kind of thinking. Especially now more so than ever. I feel like I have so much time on my hands. To just think, and it's for me it's been really helpful. I feel like I understand myself better than I ever have. I feel like I know who I am better than I ever did. um and in addition to that, I feel like I've learned so much about myself from the start of summer till now, right? Like the midway point in the school semester. I'm still learning so much about myself at this point in like my I would say it's like a self healing journey. You know what I mean? I would say it's a self healing journey. This is probably the happiest I've been in a while. But also the most reflective I've been. Like just the other night I went for a walk and I just put on, if I'm being honest, the way I did it, I just kind of put on this little ski mask that I have on right here, and just went outside probably like 10 p.m. It's not as cold as it is now. It's pretty cold over here, at least now. But I just put on this little ski mask, just put on some I listen to a lot of like Dijon, McGee, stuff like that. But I just put on just an album that I like, and I just went outside, some headphones on, some Beats headphones, and just listened to that album. Looked at the sky, watched the stars for a little bit until it felt right to just go back home. And I don't know, I just sit at peace with myself. You know what I mean? I wasn't really thinking too much. I was just enjoying myself. I'm yapping right now. I'm yapping. Let me talk about what this video's about. It's been almost 3 minutes, and I've just been yapping. Um, what I want to talk about in this video, now that it's more so less about who I am, it's more so about the message I have to spread, right? Yeah, what I want to talk about is, don't doubt yourself. Don't downplay who you are. Don't water yourself down for anybody or anything. You know what I mean? I feel like I spent a lot of my time doing that. When I was in a relationship, or even outside of the relationship. I need a little bit of water. But I spent a lot of time just like downplaying who I am, downplaying my personality, watering myself down for people who I don't even talk to anymore. You know what I mean? And it's just something I was kind of deep in thought about while I was kind of prepping my food. Right now, it's all in the oven, so it's like it should just kind of cook itself. And I figured I have some time to sit down and just make a video, but um, I kind of just realized, like, man, I've really been like suppressing my true self. And so I spent a lot of time lately and today while I was cooking, just kind of thinking about like why is that? That's always a question I like to ask myself whenever I notice these patterns about myself or how I act. It's like, why do I suppress myself? Why do I downplay myself for other people in my life who probably don't even care? And I think if anyone else who's watching this is like a really like introspective person, right? Like you think a lot about yourself, right? Just your internal. Um Something you start to realize, and I think maybe this can help some people, is you do that because you're so introspective, right? You see and you know things about yourself because people who tend to be more introspective, I feel like, tend to know themselves better than anyone else may know themselves. You know what I mean? Um, and that's just because you spend so much time in your head. And you might look around at the people around you and you might think so highly of them, or you might think so little of yourself as a result of the people who you're around. And you're over analyzing yourself and the people around you that you get so caught up in this weird whirlwind of thought about how little you are or how big they are and how you're not where you want to be. And what you don't realize is that's all in your head. That's all self talk. No one else sees that. You are the only person who probably sees that. And it diminishes yourself to everyone else because you start to change how you act around other people because of a way that you are perceiving yourself that they're not even perceiving. And it's because you feel like they do perceive that about you. And I can, at the very least, once again, this is all about my personal experiences. That's what's true for me. I feel like I've downplayed myself a lot because I thought that some of the things and some of the patterns that I've recognized in myself and how I behave and how I perceive myself is exactly the same way other people perceive me. But that's not true at all. As I like to think about it a little bit like a video game, right? As the person behind the controls, you know everything that's going on. You know what your intention is behind everything. That's a mystery to everyone else around you, right? And so we, as the people in control, are able to, how do I put this? As the people in control, we are able to see everything going on behind the scenes that no one else gets the opportunity to see, right? We get to experience our authentic self. Everyone else experiences a filtered version of that. And it's not just true for us, it's true for other people, right? The people who you may consider to be your best friends, and the people who I might consider to be my best friends. This is something that I think about a lot. People who I consider to be my best friends, and the people that I surround myself with, I probably don't even know who they really are. And not to say I don't know them. I'm sure I know them better than people who are strangers, of course. But I will never know them to the same extent that they know themselves. And that's just true for everybody. They'll never know me the same way that I know myself. And I feel like that creates an inner conflict because as humans, we all have this desire to be perceived, right? We all have this desire to be understood and perceived. And that's, at the end of the day, for a lot of people, that's all they really want, right? People want to feel understood. No one wants to feel like a mystery. When you feel like a mystery, you feel excluded because you don't feel like anyone gets it, right? The things you do, the things you think, you don't feel like anyone gets it. That's why it go back to my who am I video, man. Like this, that's why I made this, right? I don't feel perceived. And that's why I wear this stupid tiger hat. I might just switch my hat every video just for the fun of it, but that's why I wear this stupid tiger hat and these Frozone goggles because I don't want to let my identity out necessarily, but it's more so a matter of as long as the person behind this channel, myself, can be perceived, I'm happy. And no one needs to know who I am in order for me to be perceived. Does that make sense? Like, I don't need you guys to know my identity or what I look like, all that, in order for me to feel perceived. Okay? I just need to express how I feel. And as a result of a lot of my past and how I was raised and the things that have shaped my life to this point, I haven't personally had a lot of the opportunities to be perceived. And that's caused me to water down my personality and diminish who I am for so many of the people around me. And that's at the end of the day what people connect to. People connect to the authenticity, right? If you can't be authentic around people, then you just may not be able to connect with people as well. And that's something else I've realized is like the reason so many of my friends are so close with me is because as I've gotten more comfortable with them, the way I look at it is like my friends are the people who kind of didn't give up on me, right? As I've gotten closer with them, I've been able to be my more authentic self than I am with someone who I just meet on the street, right? And that's kind of a talent for some people. Some people probably meet people and they're able to just be their authentic self. They're just able to do it. And I'm gonna sit here and recognize that I don't think everyone has that ability. I don't know if it's something that can be taught or not. I think it's something I've worked on personally. I think when I meet a stranger, they get a more authentic version of myself than they have in the past. So I definitely think it's something that can be worked on, and so at least an area that I'm attempting to work on and grow and better myself in. But I just want you guys to know that if you guys are feeling as though people aren't seeing your authentic self, find a way to just be more authentic in conversation. Put yourself out there, right? A lot of why people do that is a lot of their past experiences, right? Like maybe at some point in your life, think back, and I could be wrong, man, but think back to when you were a kid, right? Or even middle school, high school, it doesn't matter. As long as you're a kid, okay? You go to be your authentic self and you get ridiculed for it. You get made fun of for it. There's now going to be this protective voice in your head telling you to not do that again. Because as humans, we want to protect ourselves, right? Your nervous system recognizes that as a threat. Okay? Your heart rate raises, your fight or flight response kicks in. You have a little bit of adrenaline going through you because you just got ridiculed for being true to who you are. You just got made fun of. You just got put down for being true to who you are. And your body recognizes that as a threat. And your body develops defense mechanisms for what it recognizes as threats, right? That's how humans evolve. Simple. And so the defense mechanism that I've developed, and I find a lot of other people that I've talked to similar to me have developed, is this inner voice, this inner protective voice that constrains you into your adult life, but protects you when you're a kid, right? And that voice essentially nullifies and silences who you are authentically in order to make you feel more comfortable, although you may not be able to express who you are. You feel safer because that's what that voice is there for. It's there to protect you and say, hey, don't do that. You're going to get made fun of. It's dangerous. You don't want to get made fun of. But the problem with that is think of it like a set of armor, right? When that set of armor gets put on you as a kid, yeah, it does protect you. Emotionally, it protects you. The problem is, as you grow as a person, that set of armor doesn't grow with you. And it gets to a point where it's just so tight and so constraining on who you are as a person emotionally that you can't find human connection anymore. Or if you do, it's just so few and far between that you may just feel so alone. And I don't think anyone wants to be alone. I think a lot of human nature is the social aspect of it, of course. Everyone wants to have their friends. Everyone wants to be social. Everyone, once again, like I said, they want to be perceived. And if you can't connect emotionally with people, you don't feel perceived, right? You see this deeper side to yourself that no one else is ever going to see and that you will never be able to share with another person. And that for me is a scary thought, right? I don't need a whole lot, but I need at least one other person that can understand and see like the deeper side of me, the depth to my soul, the depth to my character, the depth to who I am. And I think a lot of it stems from childhood, and then a lot of it also stems from how we self-talk ourselves, right? And I think, a way to kind of build past that is when you hear that voice that tells you, don't do this, it's dangerous, you might get made fun of, you need to just recognize what that voice is. It's not that what you're doing is actually dangerous. You're in no danger. You get made fun of, so what? At the end of the day, man, womp womp. Like, you get made fun of, you just move on with your life. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you guys, really looking back, how many times that I've been made fun of. I would say 90% of those times, I can't even tell you what I was being made fun of for. I can just remember feeling bad about myself and feeling upset, frustrated, flustered. But I can't even tell you what I was made fun of for. I mean, there's a couple instances here and there, sure, but at the end of the day, those things carry no weight. Those things have no effect on me today. And I think the sooner that we realize that, the sooner we can grow into who we're meant to be. But we got to heal that inner child in us, right? We got to parent that inner child in us. And when we hear that voice coming, that voice stems from our inner child, right? When we hear that voice, we need to sit there and realize, right, that that voice is a part of us, but that voice is not who we are. When you let that voice be who you are, that makes up the whole person. When that voice is just a part of you, it's okay for that to be a part of you, but it's no longer who you are. You know what I'm saying? And by that voice not being who you are as a person, as a whole, you take a lot of power away from that voice. And then you're able to step way further outside of your comfort zone and do things that are more authentic to who you are, that are more authentic to your character. I think I think the world would be a better place if people were just more authentic. People were just more authentic to their true selves. I think we would all enjoy life so much more. But sadly, a lot of people have those traumatic experiences and they're just never able to grow past them. That's why I think that introspection stuff it's just so good. I think it's just so good to just spend 30 minutes a day in silence with music if it helps you. I do it with music personally. That's what I need. Sometimes I do it in silence because the music is just too loud. But, sit in silence. I okay. Make fun of me all you want. I don't care, man. That's why I got this disguise on. Do it. I don't even care. See what I mean? Matter of fact, let me run that back real quick. See what I was just talking about and how I'm letting people possibly make fun of me dictate what I just said on here? That's stupid. I shouldn't be doing that. That's dumb. I shouldn't. I wouldn't consider myself to be a religious person. Okay, this has context. I'm just throwing this out here right now, right? I wouldn't necessarily consider myself to be a religious person, but I used to study religion a lot, study a lot of world history, stuff like that, and the religions that I feel like kind of resonate with who I am as a person the most, right? I grew up in an Italian household, so a lot of Roman Catholic stuff like that. But the religion that I always felt like the religions that always I felt like resonated with me the most are like Eastern religions, right? Like Buddhism and Taoism, right? And there's a saying that I like to just read a lot of the quotes, stuff like that, just see what resonates with me, see what sticks, just kind of come up with my own moral compass and see what I really like. There's a saying, let's see if I can remember it. What was it again? When the mind quiets, the reflection of the moon in the water is clear. I believe that's what it was. Something along those lines. Something along those lines, right? And what that basically means, when you're able to sit down in essentially a meditative state, that's the way I kind of perceive these, right? And it doesn't matter if you have music or not. But when your mind is able to quiet down, when you sit down, I encourage anyone to try this if you want, but just go and sit down. Put some music on, sit in silence, however you want to do it. Put your phone away, put any distractions away. Go if you're at home and there's too many distractions at home, parents, anything like that, go somewhere where you're able to just be by yourself and just sit there. And what you're going to realize is there's a mechanism we have in our heads known as boredom. When that boredom encompasses, because you have nothing to stimulate your brain, when that boredom encompasses, your mind is going to race, right? You're going to start thinking all these things, thinking all these thoughts. Whatever you're thinking about, whatever it is in your life you're thinking about, let the thoughts come, let the thoughts go. Just let the thoughts, whatever it is, let it just flow through you. You know what I'm saying? Don't cling on to a thought. If the thought feels like it's clinging there, just try to see if it segues into something else, but just kind of let your brain think. And I mean, that's why I say about 30 minutes, because for me, it's usually 15 to 20 minutes where these thoughts are coming and going, and my mind is overwhelmed of all the things in life stressing me out, and all the people, and how people are perceiving me, and this, that, the other thing. And then after 15 to 20 minutes, there's like a stillness where my brain just, like, I don't even know, it just shuts off. And you might even be thinking things about the environment around you. The other night when I was out there looking at the stars, I'm over here looking at the clouds, thinking thoughts about the stars, the clouds, the sky, how everything looks. Is that the galaxy that I'm looking at? I don't know. It just, all these crazy thoughts, whatever I'm thinking, it just comes and it goes and it comes and it goes. But you reach a certain point where there really is, and you want it to be kind of effortless, I feel like. But for me, it feels effortless. For others, you may have to force it a little more. I don't know. But, oh, I got to go flip my chicken. But I'll finish this because I was about to finish this video with this thought anyways. Let those thoughts come, let those thoughts go, and then sit there when the silence ensues, right? Those thoughts coming and going, are you getting to know the more, how should I say, the more tangible traits to yourself? When the silence comes about, you may begin to just feel different emotions, happiness, sadness, whatever, but there's no thoughts that are making you feel those emotions. And that's when I perceive is when we're getting to kind of know our soul. And then we develop a deeper understanding of ourself. And at the end of the day, that's the deeper aspect of self that we need to cling to. I wouldn't even say cling to, but we need to understand. And that's the side of us that we want people to perceive. And that helps us to realize how we should be perceived and who we actually are. And then that's when the perceptions of all the people around us start to not matter as much, because we are so comfortable with ourselves that other people's perceptions tend to start to not matter. I hope that rambling session, because I got to go take care of this meal prep stuff, I hope that rambling session had some sort of takeaway. Don't know if it did or not, but hopefully someone understood something from that. Take what you want, take what you don't like from that, and apply it to yourself. It's kind of where I'm at, but I'm kind of on this journey, like I said, to get to know myself better, and to not worry so much about what other people are thinking about me, but only care about what I'm thinking about me. And everything's changing in the world every day. Every single day I feel like I'm getting to know something new about myself, and it's because I'm changing every day as a person. I'm growing every day as a person. So with all that being said, stop doubting yourself. Believe in yourself, man. Perceive yourself if no one else will. And stop watering yourself down for people who don't matter. Stop. Don't, even people who do matter. Stop watering yourself down for them. Be who you are. Be authentic to who you are. The world would be a much better place if you were just authentic to who you are. That's all. Hope this video finds everyone in good health. Hope everyone's doing good. And keep pushing on, man. Keep pushing on. Love you guys.